cooking up something good here at home. We are cooking up something good here at home.
Hello and welcome to At Home today. Today we're talking about apples, all kinds of apples. And we're continuing our harvest month of all the bountiful things that God's provided, from gardens to, farmers markets, whatever. We are showing you what to do with your excess. And just look at this variety. This is a Rome apple. This is great for baking and for cooking. It's a great apple, a Rome, red Rome, okay? Of course, we all know about the Red Delicious, which is a great eating apple. Then we have the Golden Delicious. We have the good old Granny Smith. Oh, don't you love these? There's just something about the fall that says apples. Apples and pumpkins, that's that's the whole theme in the fall. Wonderful time of the year. Some of the guys here appreciate that too. This is a Gala. You see the different varied stripes of color? This is a great eating apple, usually very sweet. It's also a very good cooking apple. It's a wonderful, wonderful apple. And we have some more of these red Rome's variety. McGinnis has a variety, wonderful variety of all the produce. And it's just a great store, and it's just has some of every kind. Fuji's, they have the Rome Beauties, they have any kind of an apple you can think of practically. So you might want to stop by and choose some for some of the recipes we're doing today, or maybe you're fortunate to have an apple tree in your yard that you're harvesting right now. Well, today we're going to make some things that you can bake ahead of time, put them in your freezer, bring them out during the holidays when you don't have the time to bake. And that would be an applesauce loaf. And we're even going to do something for the kids, carameled apples made in a crock pot. We're going to be back in just a moment, so stay tuned. Here's today's at-home hint. Here's today's at-home hint. Place freshly sliced apples in a bowl and sprinkle with lemon juice to keep the slices from turning brown. Add to salads, pies, or casseroles and proceed with the recipe.
If you have an at-home hint, a favorite recipe, or just a friendly greeting you'd like to share, we'd like to hear from you. Post it in the comments of this video or visit our Facebook page.
Well, I've begun my applesauce loaf, and in this particular bowl, I have a half a cup of shortening and 1 cup of sugar. We want to cream that very well together, like this. Now we're going to add 2 regular large eggs. Cream that together. This is just a wonderful time of the year to be baking things from the kitchen. The smell permeates the house, gets everybody, what's Mom making today, or what's Aunt Minnie making, or what's Grandma making? And everybody's can't wait to taste it because it just tastes so good. Everything's so fresh right now. Okay, so we have our eggs, sugar, and the butter. Now, we're going to combine the dry ingredients, which are, I'm going to read them off so we have it. 1 3/4 cup of flour. We have a teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of baking soda, half a teaspoon of cinnamon, and half a teaspoon of nutmeg. Those flavors just automatically go with this loaf. The cinnamon, the nutmeg, they just go so well. That one didn't come out when I turned it over, did it? There we go. Have to get them all in there, or this isn't going to work. Okay, but those flavors just go so well when you're making something like this. And you just want to take your spatula or fork or something and mix them up a little bit. Flour's a little wild today. Fresh flour jumping out of the bowl, right? Okay, now we're going to gradually add some of this flour to our mixture. Continue with the mixer, mixing it up, just to incorporate it well. Okay, I'm just going to drop a little at a time, like so. Now this is going to get pretty thick. That's okay, because we're going to add some applesauce to this, and that's going to thin it out. Meanwhile, you want to have your oven on 350 degrees. We'll do that. 350 degrees, and you want to have it preheated, okay? Make sure that you have it good and hot, and you want to grease a loaf pan like this. Well, grease the corners and the edges of it, because it's going to come up and it's going to fill that pretty well. Okay, so now we're incorporating the flour. Looks a little dry, but when we add our applesauce, which we're going to do now, this is 1 cup of applesauce. Now, I'm going to give you a recipe for making applesauce, your own homemade applesauce. You could use in this recipe, or you can use the can if you happen to not make it, okay? Either way, it's going to make, that's what's going to make this loaf really moist. And so now, incorporating the applesauce is going to change the picture of this loaf. See how much nicer that is now? Nice and moist. This is a thick batter. It's not to be a runny, pouring batter. I think we're there. Perfect. Okay? Now, we don't want to put our walnuts. This is about half cup chopped walnuts. You can use pecans, whatever. But we don't want to stir them in with the mixer. We just want to stir them in by hand. All right, and that's just basically just like that. Do them evenly. Beautiful. This now will go into our prepared loaf pan. This will make a nice full loaf. This is going to bake for about an hour. And you know, you want to test it at the top when it's gone for the hour to make sure that this bread is definitely done. Should not be soft and mushy in the top. Boy, it smells wonderful. You can imagine what this is going to smell like when it's baking in your house for your family. Mike says, I'm doing that when I tell you that. We have, you know, what I found is my crew is beginning to really become good cooks. I have to start to worry about job security because now they're all going to be cooks and I'll be out of a job. But anyway, okay, this is going into our oven, 350 degrees for 1 hour. Just like that. Okay? I'm going to set my little ladybug so that we know 1 hour. We need to check it just to be sure that it's ready. The second one that we're going to do is something I think everybody likes. It's called apple dumplings. You say, Arlene, I could never make apple dumplings. Sure you could. Did you ever try? Remember, half the battle of doing something is in the trying. Well, this is easy. I'm going to walk you through the crust because I have some ready here to roll out. First of all, you're going to take 2 cups of flour, which we have here, 3/4 of a cup of Crisco. We'll put that in, some baking soda, salt, and some milk. We're going to, first of all, put the Crisco in this, and then add the milk last until a dough forms, a nice dough like this one. All right, now, once that's done, for time's sake, I'm not going to show you how to do that because you know. The other thing you have to make ahead of time is the syrup, and that would be in this pan. That would be 2 cups of water, 2 cups of sugar, 1/4 of a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/4 of a teaspoon of nutmeg, and 1/4 of a cup of butter. Now, this doesn't have to be hot, but it needs to not have the butter coagulate on the top, so you have to keep it a little bit warm. Now, what we're going to do, we roll out the dough on a floured surface. And you're going to cut this because this is going to make 6. So you want to kind of cut it so that you're going to get 6 out of this piece of dough. And you can roll out if you have to. But you want them large enough to make some really nice dumplings. Now these are a little different because these dumplings, you don't put a whole apple in. You put slices of apple, and that's what this is. We use the red Rome. We're just going to put them right here, like so, and lay them so that you kind of can fit them in there without them poking through and making a hole in the dough. Okay, like that. Then you're going to sprinkle with some sugar. And you really should taste the apple to see if it's sweet, because if it's sweet, you want to cut back on the sugar. If it isn't, then you're going to want to add more. And a little dash, since we don't have the shaker in here, I'm just going to do it with the fork, and a little bit of flour. And then what you want to do is close this up. Now this dough looks pretty thick, so as you're doing this, you're going to smash, horrible word, but you know what I mean. You're just going to push it and make it thin so that it covers, just like that. If you find you have too many apples, cut back on the apples. Okay, just keep pushing the dough until it covers, like so, as well as you can. You almost have to form it with your hand, press the dough together. This is very forgiving dough to do that. Okay, then you're going to move it from here. You're going to place it into the baking dish, and you're going to bake them after you put that syrup over the top of them. Okay, again, we're going to make some more. Just line up your apples and put some sugar on them. Okay, some more cinnamon. Whoa, that one's for Paul. He loves cinnamon. And then we're just going to wrap the dough all around it. You can get creative if you want to. This might be fun for the kids to do. Some evening in the fall, looking for something to do, let them make some apple dumplings. Of course, you need to be there to supervise, which is always good. Okay, and again, while I'm finishing this and getting it ready for the oven, we're going to take a break. When we come back, more apple dishes just for you. Stay with us.
Do you love watching At Home with Arlene Williams? Then be sure to check out our new YouTube channel. It's filled with classic episodes from over 20 years of At Home, and more videos are added each day. And don't forget to click the subscribe button so you'll never miss another episode of At Home.
Well, we've just put the dumplings in. We poured that syrup that we made over the top of them, and they're going to bake for about 25 to 30 minutes, and when they're done, they're going to be great. Okay? Next thing we want to do is make homemade applesauce. This is so easy. Everybody should make homemade applesauce. You take 4 apples, the cooking ones, the red Rome, the Macintosh, Galas. They all make really good applesauce. And we just cut them up in cubes. I'm going to add just a little bit of water to get them started. And to this pot, this is why I like this. You put everything in it, you turn it down, and you let it cook, and you have applesauce. How simple is that? All right, first we're going to add a couple tablespoons of butter. There. And this is about 1/4 of a cup of sugar. And again, taste your apple. If you don't need it, don't put it in. If it's sweet enough, you don't need it, just don't use it, all right? And then, teaspoon, have to have cinnamon. Sorry, this is ground nutmeg. Let's do a 1/2 teaspoon of that. Just like that. And, let me see, cinnamon. You can put cinnamon in, or you don't have to. This time we'll make it without it, but you could put cinnamon in this. All right, and all you're going to do is bring this up to a boil and just let it start to cook. The sugar is going to come out, it'll start to melt down. The apples will get real soft. We'll just keep an eye on it every once in a while, okay? That's all there is to applesauce. When it gets done, as far as real soft, take a potato masher, you can put it in a blender, you can put it in a food processor. If you don't like the chunks in it, I personally like the chunks of apple, so it makes it taste good. Okay, and then for the kids, we got to make some caramel apples. Of course, I said for the kids, but every adult can't wait for this either. And we're using today the beautiful Galas. They really are. They're just, look at these. Everyone's different. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at the striping on them, the coloration. Some will look like that, and some will look like this, and they're both a Gala. Hard to believe, but they are, okay? And you want to get these little sticks, and you can buy them usually where you buy your caramels. In the fall of the year, they have the sticks. You take the stem out, wash it thoroughly, very important, and then you plunge the stem right into the center. You want to make it tough to get it in there, because that's what's going to hold this apple, number one, while you're dipping it, but also while the person's eating it, okay? So this will make probably enough for about 8. And what we've done is taken 2 packages of caramels, 2 14-ounce packages, and put them in your crock pot. And let them cook on low with about 1/4 of a cup of water for about an hour and a half. And this is what you have. Look at that caramel sauce. Oh man, what more could you want, huh? Does it beautifully. You don't have to work with a double boiler. You don't have to, all that stuff. Not necessary. So what we're going to do, move my apples back. We're going to dip them. You want to get a tray covered with wax paper. You don't want to put them onto a tray like this. You might not get them off easy. You will, but it won't be easy. So important thing is cover it with wax paper, just like we have. And you want an assortment of things to roll them in, because I think this is the fun part for the kids. We got all kinds of jimmies. Yeah, you can get this stuff at McGinnis. They have all of this available. And we've ground some nuts. And then we have M&Ms. Funny M&Ms with them little marks on them, little different gourmet M&Ms, I guess, whatever. You could use the mini M&Ms. You could use mini chips if you wanted to do chocolate. Use your imagination. All right, first of all, we're going to take our apple, and we're going to make sure that the caramel gets up all around it, like that. Going to bring it out. You want to have a knife. You want to hold this as long as you can, but you want to have a straight edge knife. See how the edge on that is straight? Not serrated, but it's straight edge. Because what I'm going to do is cut across that to get off the excess, like that. Then we're going to roll that in some jimmies. How about that? Use your imagination. Let the kids get involved, right? How about it? Nice? I think it looks pretty nice. This is something that could be a whole family event. Kids love to do this. Of course, you can limit them only to so much. You don't want them to have too much of this stuff before they go to bed, or they'll be bouncing off the walls, if you know that. Okay, I think Mike knows from probably having had a bad experience that what I'm talking about is true. Let's do some with, look at that walnuts, just going on. Yummy, yummy. Aren't they beautiful? Why not, I say. And let's have a few of these right on top. You know what? This would be great for a little gift for somebody that really likes caramel apples. I never cared too much for the candy apple because it always felt like I was going to crack my tooth, or that the dentist would, you know, would probably be happy because I had a caramel apple. But look at these. Let me stir my applesauce one more time. You can see how it's rendering juices. This is just going to keep cooking till it cooks down. Cooks down. You don't want to put a cover on it. Boy, I tell you, we've been busy. We've got the apple dumplings. We've got an applesauce loaf in there. We're doing our caramel apples, and we're making homemade applesauce. Good ideas for you to do with all the apples that come very plentifully now. Okay, so I think we'll make one more. Let's see. Let's make this. Here's a pretty one. This, I'll tell you, this is just the right temperature for this caramel. I can't tell you how wonderful it is that this caramel just is perfect for this type of thing when you put it in the crock pot. Now, some people make it plain like this, let it set up, then they melt chocolate chips, dip it in the chocolate chips. So you have a layer of this, and then a layer of chocolate chips, then they roll it in nuts. That's what you call a gift apple. That's a real gift when you get one of those. Okay? You know, you find out that if you start with good ingredients, you'll have a better product at the end. So you want to have good apples. Don't buy apples that have spots on them, or don't go to the clearance area of a supermarket and say, oh, I'll get this big bag. Look, they only have a couple of bruises. You don't want to do that. You want to get the best that you can, okay? Well, we'll be right back with the wrap up in just a minute. Here's how you can get today's recipes, and in fact, the whole month's recipes.
Just go to ctvn.org/athome to get all the recipes from today's show for free. That's right, no subscriptions. They're available online at no cost, and more are being added each day. So join us at ctvn.org/athome to get today's recipes now.
You don't want to miss any of the things that we've made today with apples as our theme for the bountiful harvest month. Here's our applesauce loaf. Once that comes out, you make a simple glaze of just powdered sugar and water, and you drizzle it over the cake, just like so. And you don't want to do it when it's too hot. Let it cool down a little bit. That will keep the moisture in, and this is going to be a wonderful applesauce loaf. Make them all different sizes and shapes, wrap them well, and freeze them, okay? Next to it is our homemade applesauce. See how chunky it is? This is incredible. Easy to do any time of the year. And what do I say about apple dumplings except oh my, oh my. They look so good and they taste wonderful. And see how this syrup thickens up there? And that's what cooks the dough. The apples are done in there, nice and fork tender. And you can either put some caramel sauce that we had left over from our caramel apples, scoop of ice cream on a plate with that. Who could resist? And then, of course, in the middle, for the kids or those grown-ups who think they're kids, we've made all kind of delicious caramel apples. Yummy. Okay, there's our timer. We've got something else in the oven, but we're going to get to that in just a minute. Don't forget, next week, we're going to do something more with our bountiful harvest, so be sure to join us on Here at Home because it just wouldn't be the same without you. We'll see you then.
Food provided by McGinnis Sisters Special Food Stores in Brentwood and Monroeville. Taste the world.
Don't forget to click the subscribe button so you'll never miss another episode of At Home. Thank you for watching.
Cornerstone Television wishes to thank all our faithful viewers whose consistent prayers and financial support have made this program possible.